Well, it's great to be back with you guys. As we saw in the past, some exciting things happened at Mount Shasta. To have so much evidence, you know, so many unique findings.
The question that we left Mount Shasta with last time was why? Why are we seeing what we're seeing? What's driving the energy flow coming to and from the mountain? What helps to explain the incredible anomalies that are there, really? And it makes me wonder whether or not we're dealing with a situation where energy might be going somewhere, might be disappearing.
In their previous visit to Mount Shasta, Andy and Paul investigated this hotspot of strange energy. While investigating at the mountain, the team recorded anomalous radio frequencies that corresponded with multiple UAPs.
Look at this.
What is that?
1.71 gigahertz.
Oh, here's something right here. Darted straight across.
What is that?
When they went 16 stories down into the mountain system, they detected strange radio frequency spikes that shouldn't be present in a cave.
It seems like as we climb higher into these more privileged zones, you see more of these energy bursts.
I can't, for the life of me, figure out how you get a microwave signal down inside a cave. Why are we getting 1.6 gigahertz signals inside this cave at Mount Shasta? It makes no sense to me.
What there isn't right now is any kind of evidence that's measurable in nature that shows the energetics of the mountain itself. What we're hoping to do is find a way that we can actually answer that question in a measurable scientific way. Is Mount Shasta special? Is it different? Does it contain energy? Does it retain energy? Does it transmit energy? And whether or not there is something that we can measure that helps to define whether or not the phenomenon there has some sort of malevolent intent or benevolent intent, if intent at all.
If there is something uniquely energetic going on at Mount Shasta, I want to trace that energy to its source. I really think that is our ultimate objective. The holy grail here is finding out its root cause analysis. You cited several energetic effects during the course of the work that you've done so far. I want to continue along that line.
Even if it turns out that we can't put our finger on a causation, what we do know is that there is an effect.
Yeah.
Well, if your first investigation of Mount Shasta is any indication as to what can hopefully be seen in the future and what you may yet find out, I think we have some exciting results in store.
We'll try to move the ball further down the field.
Yep, further up the mountain.
All right, that's what it's
only
all
count.
about. Can't wait to see what you get.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Jamie, I know you hold gatherings here at the Healing Place, but I bet you've never seen anything quite like this.
Andy and Paul are with experiencer Jamie Mayfield at her nature retreat, the Healing Place, in the foothills of Mount Shasta.
So Jamie, just a really quick walkthrough. What we have here is we're checking in. This is a spectrum analyzer that we're using to listen in to the radio frequency signals, the radio energy around us. Here we have our two UFO DAPs.
The UFO DAPs are really unique. You can actually see the displays out there. What they are is an AI-powered camera that are really going to be eyes on the sky. They're going to pick up anything unusual that's not a plane, that's not a satellite, and really instantly analyze it against a huge library of information.
Great.
Yeah, they're very cool.
And then in real time, we'll be tracking satellite movement around the Earth, specifically around us, and FAA flight data that's also around us. So between the UFO DAPs and these two pieces of equipment here, we'll be able to track in real time anything we might see and rule out if it's something man-made.
Definitely.
And then the last two cameras that we have here are thermal imaging cameras. The infrared that we're using here actually tracks thermal energy instead of light energy. Now on the table over here, we have our team from New Salt. Now you guys were at Skinwalker Ranch recently too, right? Yeah, we were.
Joining the team tonight are laser experts Tim Anderson and Jeremy Fenton from New Salt Laser, who've conducted several experiments at Skinwalker Ranch in an effort to stimulate anomalies.
Holy cow, look at that.
That resulted in a correlating UAP sighting in 2021.
Oh,
Way back, you see this?
yeah. What the crap is that?
Unbelievable.
Now, Andy and Paul want to see what will happen when they shine lasers in the direction of Mount Shasta from Jamie's property.
Now, how many projectors do we have here?
We have two 40-watt laser light show projectors, and we have two 100-watt laser light show projectors.
In this experiment, the lasers will scan toward Mount Shasta in a linear pattern. By adding light energy to the environment, the hope is to stimulate UAP activity. Or the beams could detect other aerial phenomena if they bend or disappear while refracting off the anomaly.
How's everything going, Tim?
Well, we're having some connection problems right now, so we're trying to connect the computer to the laser projectors.
Is this something, the kind of problem you've had before, or is...
No, it's not very common.
Huh.
In fact, all these lasers were working in the shop when we tested them yesterday.
This is weird, right?
This is very weird, but we're gonna stay at it, and I'll let you know if we have some changes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thanks. Well, let's start getting some baseline readings here. So I want to check the spectrum. All right, rounding up on 1.4 gigahertz. We're starting to get into privileged bands.
Ooh, what's all that?
Wow, that's different for sure. See if we can zoom in on this a little bit. Significant. You know what this reminds me of is what Travis and Erik were telling us about with a comb pattern on the radio spectrum. You can see the energy swells happening too. You see that on the left? Whoa, you see that? Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
That is strange. Whoa, 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 whoa. Look at this, Paul. Look at this, Paul. Look at what happens right at 1.6 gigahertz.
What could cause that? I've never seen anything like that.
The energy seems to change right at 1.6 gigahertz. I'm gonna keep going up and see what we see.
What's that massive spike there?
I don't know. Let's tune into this one and see if we can't make sense of it. We've never heard that sound before. Yes, I don't know what this is, Paul. That kind of transmission is not like anything I've ever heard before.
Right.
What that is, it's beyond me. After our previous investigation in Mount Shasta, I absolutely expected to see aerial phenomenon, orbs, strange unidentified UAPs, something centering on the mountain. But we're not seeing that at all. Instead, we're seeing this extremely strange footprint of radio frequency energy that's happening on the spectrum, both in terms of shape and in terms of sound itself. Time to take it back to the Skinwalker team and let them make sense of it.
Welcome back, guys. We're really excited to see what you have to present to us, and I know the data portion is going to be of particular interest.
So we set up our first round of experiments at McLeod with the New Salt laser team, with all of our standard kit, with the New Salt team there, and with all of the experience and all of their background. They were struggling with an inability to get any of their laser equipment up and running. While they were struggling with their laser equipment, we were seeing strange activity on the spectrum analyzer. Let's tune into this one and see if we can't make sense of it. We've never heard that sound before.
So there's a peak in this plot that's already got my attention.
Mm-hmm. But this was one of the things that had us scratching our heads for sure.
Absolutely.
We had never seen this before in any of our investigations.
I've never seen it anywhere except here. And now that you've found it somewhere else, I find it really interesting.
Okay, look right there. You see the two off to the right of that? Okay, and we see this pair of peaks, and there seems to be like a trade-off.
Oh, don't move that screen. But this, guys, I want y'all to pay attention to this, because this is absolutely one of the best, most structured signals that you've ever caught. And I'm really excited about it. Well, the first thing that jumps out at you is you have this central peak here, right? And that's at about 1.616. Now look, you got structure here. It's mirror images of each other, right? And then you got this structure here, another mirror image. You got this structure here, this structure here. We call that dual sideband. These are the sidebands, and this is your main carrier signal. This is a communication signal of some sort. When you see that going that stable for a long period of time, something is sending that signal. That's not a random thing happening. Question is, what is sending that signal, right? So this is like your Shasta 1.6 gigahertz. Wow.
Huh.
Right?
Thank you, gentlemen. This
Well, thank
is
you.
incredible. This was
We're excited
awesome.
for the next one.
Thank you so
Erik.
much.
Great work, guys.
Thanks, sir.